WWE Universe, the D-Loop podcast is now a brand affiliate of WWE Shop with Fanatics. Get all of your latest merchandise from your favorite WWE superstars and wear them proud. So if it's CM Punk, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, L.A. Knight, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, or legends like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Bret the Hitman Hart, again, you can get all of your favorite merchandise over at wrestling.thedloopodcast.com. Again, that's wrestling.thedloopodcast.com to get all of your favorite merchandise at WWE Shop with Fanatics. This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Welcome to another edition of the D-Loop Podcast, brought to you by Believe Network. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis. I hope the week is treating you all well. You know, this past Saturday, I was at the world-famous Monster Factory for Monsters Are Real. And you want to talk about pandemonium that took place this Saturday? My goodness, we had a street fight, then we had a Texas Tornado tag team match where there was literally 8 people in the ring, outside the ring. There was weapons, there was kendo sticks, there was everything you can name under the sun. But kudos to the new Monster Factory tag team champions, Xander Alexander and the all-hungry Bobby Buffet. And it should be a very interesting couple of months to see where this new faction with Goldie, Xander, and Bobby Buffet will bring us. So make sure you all pay attention. If you can go to Monster Factory's YouTube channel and you can take a look at our weekly show, Total Wrestling Live, every Friday night. And of course, our once-a-month shows that we do. But this week, you know, Gabi's back. You know, she's back on the show, and we're going to be breaking down last week's Smackdown, this past Monday's Monday Night Raw, and of course, this weekend's Elimination Chamber that's taking place in Perth, Australia, and breaking down all the matches and what this means for WrestleMania. So let's not wait any longer. The breakdown of Elimination Chamber with me and Gabi starts right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, you know, the one and only Gabi is gracing us with her presence once again on the D-Loop podcast. Gabi, welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. You know, the road to WrestleMania is ongoing. You know, it's an exciting time for us wrestling fans / content creators. And I'm sure that all wrestlers involved in the industry as well. You know what I mean? All roads leading to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, you know, this coming April. But you know, I want to touch on, you know, obviously the press conference that took place 2 weeks ago, because, you know, we didn't have an opportunity to talk about it. What was your thoughts on that whole entire event as, you know, as a whole, and what did it mean? What do you think it's going to lead to?
I loved it. I love the production value. I love that they're kind of leaning in a new direction and moving forward with WWE. I mean, TKO has come in and change the landscape that we know of professional wrestling. Like something like this has never happened before. So I wasn't sure what to expect. And I loved it. It set up a lot of storylines. It gave us what we needed, hyped us up for the event. And of course it's in Vegas. Like regardless yes, I understand it was Super Bowl week, so like
right.
It's in Vegas, but I think that regardless of where they held it, you would have got the same effect. And I mean, even if it wasn't, it's fucking Vegas, right? So like
right.
It's gonna go crazy. It's gonna pop. You're gonna get the people there. I loved it.
Yeah, and it also helped that, you know, again, the Super Bowl was there. So can you imagine the overflow of football fans who also like wrestling was able to go to that too. It was a free event at the T-Mobile Arena. You know, obviously Cody making his decision, you know, so he's going to face Roman Reigns, you know, obviously, and then, you know, there was some verbiage said between Cody and The Rock and Roman. Rock slaps Cody. And off to the races we go, which leads us to now this past Friday Smackdown, where, of course, the Bloodline isn't obviously in the last segment of the show. The Rock comes out in his electrifying $500 Versace vest. Now, I mean, when you see that, I'm thinking, okay, it's a cross of corporate rock and Hollywood rock. because
Mm-hmm.
obviously Hollywood Rock wore the vest, and of course corporate Rock, then the People's Champ, of course, wore those silk, electrifying, $500 shirts that he used to wear with the obviously it was button open, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But and you want to talk about running down the crowd in Salt Lake City? Oh my God.
I loved it. It's what we needed. It's literally what I needed from Rocky. Like it clicked. It worked. It was perfect. Perfect.
I think a little bit of realism too, considering that, I think a lot of fans did go sour on the fact of, Rocky and Roman were supposed to have been the main event of WrestleMania, but because of the outpour of the negative press it was getting, what was it, over 400,000 dislikes for that Rock Roman confrontation?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was just like, whoa, wait a minute. We thought we were getting Cody and Roman because Cody pointed to the man at the Royal Rumble and said, I'm coming for you. And
What's the plan, women, the Royal Rumble, if you're not gonna get to name your price?
exactly. So that was very confusing to me, to the consumer, because in my mind, at the Royal Rumble, I'm thinking, oh, Cody Roman Part 2, let's go. And now and again, nothing against The Rock. I have, no nothing but love and respect for The Rock. I just
Mm-hmm.
thought that if anything else, The Rock should have been the one that won the Royal Rumble if you were going to go that route. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
And to give that much more sympathy to Cody. You know what I mean? Now it's like, people were very, very angry about that decision. Now, on the flip side, you had some pro Rock fans that were saying, oh, and they were going with the whole Cody crybabies thing, which thought was like, okay, he's definitely going towards the heel route. And then that thing he did at the press conference when he did that whole entire Samoan bloodline family tree, I'm just like, oh my God, there were people that don't even work for WWE that was listed on that family
Mm-hmm.
tree. So
Mm-hmm.
that lets you know how deep that family is in the world of professional wrestling. So it was, I just couldn't believe it. But then again, he comes out and cuts this promo, and he's running him down, he's running him down, he's running down Cody, and he said he's making sure that Cody is walking out a loser. And then if you smell, and he said, don't, this ain't sing along with The Rock. I was like, okay, we're back. I feel like I'm 21 years old all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone puts up the one, but The Rock put up a one with the thumb out.
Put up an L.
He put up an L. Your thoughts on that?
Obviously, it's intentional, and I'm curious to where that leads to. So, like, I don't know where this is going. Obviously, he's gonna join the bloodline because he is bloodline. Um, but the L kind of threw me off, and I think it's very intentional. So maybe he turns on Roman. I don't know, but I'm gonna watch and find out.
Yeah, when he said, if you smell what the bloodline is cooking, I said, oh boy. And to me, though, I don't want to say it's out of place, but I think because of the star that The Rock is, to me, it overshadows Roman,
Hmm.
because Roman has been top dog for 3.5 years. And it's almost like he's taking a back seat in a sense,
Hmm.
because I mean, Dwayne Johnson is one of the most recognizable people in the world.
Hmm.
Every corner of planet Earth, everyone knows who The Rock is, who Dwayne Johnson is, and what he stands for. So I hope that this works. It was a good pivot. I will admit that it was a very, very good pivot, and hopefully this road to WrestleMania. Then of course we got Elimination Chamber this weekend, which we'll talk about later on in the show, and hopefully we'll see what happens there. I hope he does make an appearance, but we'll see. But of course, this past Monday's Monday Night Raw, you know, it opened up with Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. I mean, they start out with a banger. You know what I love? First of all, before we get to this match,
Hmm.
the production value.
Oh my
I
gosh.
absolutely love the real sports approach now
They
on
remember
what they're
that
doing.
weird red little like light they used to use over the crowd, and like the blue light they would use on SmackDown. Just like little stupid things that were like, why are we doing this? Like
Right.
things have improved and the quality is just so much better. Like you can tell how much people were being held back.
I agree, and I mean, think about it. Like, I'll give you an example. Like when wrestlers arrive to the arena, they get the actual local time of where they are as they're walking into the building. Kind of how you see at the NBA before games or the
Hmm.
NFL before games. You see them walking into the building, that type of thing. um the angles in which you're seeing, let's say, somebody jump off the top rope. Sometimes it's not a wide shot. Sometimes it's up close so you can really see them jumping off the top rope onto somebody. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or there was one camera angle that I loved. They were coming back from commercial and they were starting in the aisle and they just panned up to the rinks to the apron. It
Hmm.
was simple
Little
but
stuff.
effective.
Hmm.
So to Triple H and to everyone else involved that's in this new era, and I truly believe it is a new era, kind of what Hunter was saying at that press conference, I think that meant a lot more than just wrestling. I just think that this post, the man I'm never going to utter on this show ever again,
Hmm.
post his era, I think it's going to go into a much better direction from a production standpoint, from a creative standpoint. Thus, I think we're going to get one of the greatest eras in the history of the business so far.
And I'm
But
here
the
for it.
yeah,
Can't wait
but
to enjoy it.
yeah, but the first match on Raw was Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes. I was thinking, okay, that was going to be the main event, and it wasn't. And I'm just like, okay. And I mean, hard hitting match from beginning to end. Your thoughts on the match?
I mean, it was sometimes these matches are long unnecessarily. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, okay, we're dragging it out. The match
Hmm.
was great from top to bottom. Like everything made sense. It was very hard hitting. It was very heavy. Like it was a great match where at one point you really didn't know who's gonna win. And that's something that I look forward to in wrestling, right? Some matches you're like, okay, going into it, I know who's gonna win this. I like not knowing who's gonna win. And in that match, I really didn't know who was gonna win.
I didn't either because at first I'm thinking, okay, are they going to have Cody really lose on
Hmm.
TV? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But they're building up Drew to be this like this rebellious heel, and to me he's player hater of the year.
Hmm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
for those that aren't familiar with the Chappelle Show, I urge you to watch. I think it was season one of Chappelle Show when they talked about the
Hmm.
player hater of the year. There was this Slick Johnson or something,
Silky Johnson.
Silky Johnson. Oh man, hilarious, hilarious. But what happens is out of nowhere comes the bloodline.
Hmm.
Jimmy Uso and Solo. Solo does the Samoan spike and Drew hits Cody with the Claymore and gets pinned for the first. He's lost his first. I mean, he hasn't lost a match since the Brock match
Hmm.
when I think Brock choked him out.
Hmm.
Was it? I can't. I think it was the Backlash or I think it was the event. No, I think it may have been the event in Saudi. I think when they were over in Saudi Arabia, I think
Hmm.
it's when Brock choked him out, which is a safe way to go because I mean, Brock is extremely huge, but nonetheless, Cody does lose on TV. And one other thing that stuck out to me after that match was the vignettes for Andrade.
Yes.
Wow. Like this is how you reintroduce somebody back into the fold. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
And does he have to cut this scathing promo? No. He can do things like that to get noticed.
Absolutely.
He can do things that can get to the next level type thing. So I like it. And I was hoping that he was going to join up with the LWO, but I'm like, you know what? Nah. I think that Andrade is much better off on his own. And
Absolutely. He
maybe
doesn't need it anymore. Before, I would say he needed it, but now that he's kind of got in, he's got his reps in, he's kind of done some things, he's better with the English language. I think that he's okay by himself. Eventually, do I think he'll join the LWO? Probably. Pretty inevitable, but like I'm fine letting him cook by himself right now.
yeah, you're right about that. So we had a last chance battle royal for the final spot in the women's elimination chamber match. Obviously, you had Maxine Dupree, Valhalla. You had Xia Li, Isla Dawn, Tegan Knox, Natalia, B-Fab, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, Zelina Vega, Elektra Lopez, Michin, better known as Mia Yim, Chelsea Green, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, and a returning Raquel Rodriguez. And Raquel Rodriguez ends up winning the Battle Royal and has the final spot in the Elimination Chamber. Your thoughts on that?
I'm glad to see her back. I know she's been through a lot recently, so I'm glad to see her
Yeah.
back.
Hmm.
Um, I hope that she's able to showcase her talent. I hope that she is being, I don't want to say repackaged, but represented. She was a beast in NXT, but her main roster debut was very lackluster, in my opinion. So hopefully this is her like coming back to be used in a way that makes sense and showcases her abilities. Do I think she's going to win the Elimination Chamber? No. Um, but doesn't mean that she can't get over an Elimination Chamber.
I think so. It's all about, it's, as they always say, it's not about going over, but it's all about getting over.
Hmm.
And I remember I forget what year, I don't know if it was 2011 or 2012, but when Drew McIntyre was in the chamber and he was just a wrecking machine in
Hmm.
there. And that's the only thing I remember for that year's chamber match was how much of a wrecking machine that Drew McIntyre was at that time. And I thought he was going to ascend. Then, of course, they ended up putting him in 3 and B, and the rest is
Hmm.
history. But up next was obviously this is a TKO initiative, obviously. UFC fighter Michael Chandler. Now I watch the I follow MMA, not just the UFC, but I pay attention to PFL/Bellator and
Hmm.
some of the other underground MMA promotions. And Michael Chandler issues a challenge to Conor McGregor to fight. I I wasn't sure how that all came about. I'm sure again that was an initiative from TKO. Me personally, I mean, I don't know. Do you watch MMA?
I do not, but I know who the people are. I follow it enough to like be able to kind of recognize people, but do not watch it. It was
Yeah,
kind of different for me. I wasn't
very.
expecting it. Um, I'm curious to where this kind of goes and where this ends up if we're going to truly continue to cross promote, which is fine. I mean, why not cross promote? It just was, I wasn't expecting it. I was just like very confused. You know what I mean? Like it just was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I didn't. As someone that watches MMA faithfully, and the fact that a couple of weeks ago Dana White basically said he doesn't know when Conor McGregor's ever going to fight because he hasn't even had a camp.
Hmm.
So I've been of the ilk for years that once Conor fought Floyd Mayweather in that boxing fight, that his days of MMA was coming to an end because
Hmm.
he lost a couple of fights after that, and I mean I'm just like like one trick pony, you've seen it, so it's just
Hmm.
like what it is what it is. So I don't think he'll ever fight again. I could be wrong, but I don't think so, and I think they used that platform to to try to hype up some potential fight between those two. By the way, they were at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California for that Monday Night Raw, and they had just announced a partnership with TKO in that arena. And
Hmm.
basically, that is they're gonna do at least 3 events. They're gonna commit to 3 events there a year. So
Mm.
it could be a Raw, it could be a Smackdown, and the one it could be again, it all depends. But they said they're at least committing to 3 events at that venue. That used to be the Anaheim Pond, which actually hosted 2 WrestleManias. So WrestleMania 12 and WrestleMania 2000 actually. So that's that arena there. The Anaheim Ducks play there as well, hockey team.
Mm.
But the main event was for the Intercontinental Championship. Gunther, who is the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time, defended against main event Jey Uso. And I'm not going to lie to you, I thought, I really, really thought that Jey was going to do it.
Same.
I really did. Someone had peeped that there was some confetti that had fell from the top of the arena,
Ooh.
and they were like, "Ooh, is something gonna happen?" You know what I mean? And I was under the impression like, okay, I think Jay's gonna win it tonight. And then right when Jay's going for the pin, you hear the bell ringing. I'm thinking there's no time limit draw, and it was Jimmy. You know what I mean? That caused a distraction. And then, of course, Gunther wins, retains the title. And of course, there's a beatdown after the match with Jimmy and Jay, which I was thinking, okay, this is the setup for WrestleMania.
Mania. Hmm.
And honestly, it doesn't need to be for a title. Like when you have a match like think about it. When Owen wrestled Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10, that wasn't for a title.
Correct. You don't
That was
always need
the
it.
right. That wasn't that mind you, that was the opening match of WrestleMania 10, which is still one of the greatest opening matches of all time in WrestleMania.
Hmm.
Was Bret Hart and Owen Hart. And they didn't need that. It wasn't for a title. So I think this is a grudge match, personal, and I think they're gonna steal the show. I don't give a damn what night it's on, night one or night two. That match will steal the show. I think that, they've established themselves now as true single stars. Because, back in the day, you couldn't tell them apart.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Unless you knew them. But you clearly know who Jay is and who Jimmy is. Two different personalities, two different type of gimmicks. I think Jay is the ultimate baby face. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens and how that's going
This
to lead to
episode of the D-Lou
WrestleMania. But
podcast is brought to you by Goalie Nutrition. As someone who's used Goalie for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan-friendly, gluten-free, and gelatin-free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lou podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. That's goalie.com, use promo code DLEW.
now it's leading now to this weekend's Elimination Chamber. Now, for those that are stateside on the East Coast, got to get up a little early. Got to
Ooh,
get up a
baby.
little early. It's starting at 5 a.m.
Hmm.
So that means the pre-show is probably going to start at 4 a.m.
Won't be there for that.
Okay, so yours truly will be up. I'm gonna hit the sack a little early Friday night so I can get up nice and early Saturday morning. I may cook me a little breakfast, you know what I mean? Maybe a little something, a little breakfast and watch some wrestling. And it starts at 5 a.m. and that's right now there's four matches and one segment. So we'll talk about the segment first. It was announced this past week that there's going to be a Grayson Waller effect starring Grayson Waller in his home country of Australia, of course, with two special guests, Seth freaking Rollins and Cody Rhodes. Now, I'm hoping that this could lead to something where they're going to issue a challenge of a tag team match type thing
Hmm.
at WrestleMania against The Rock and Roman Reigns. Your thoughts?
Yes, sorry. Yes, I definitely think that they have to set up that tag team match. I think that tag team match will be night one. Um, and it'll lead to us to light two, but you have to kind of, I think the seeds are there, but might as well go ahead and like plant the tree this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it. Let's do it. I want to see it.
Now, do you think that'll main event? That'll close out night one?
No, I think that'll probably open night one.
Mm.
It wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's going to main event. I mean, at this point, if that main event's night one, I think that's a disservice to the women,
Mhm.
because the women never actually have closed out WrestleMania.
Except
Um,
for 37.
exactly.
Sasha
Sasha and
and Bianca Belair.
so I think it's a disservice to have not once again not have the women close when you have two nights. Like, why not? Um, so I do think that'll be night one. It very well might open the show. But also I wouldn't be surprised if they make Cody do double duty and make him fight in the tag team and then pull it out at the end of it and have to do his match with Roman. So I'm kind of curious to how that's going to play out. But
Well,
I
look,
do think that the Elimination Chamber winner and Rhea need to close
I
because
I
Rhea has
agree.
proven that she can close. I mean, her match with
Absolutely.
Charlotte is match of the year.
And we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, I truly believe now. Obviously, I thought that Grayson was gonna wrestle in his home country. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. But hey, he has his own show, so I mean, why
Yeah, he
not?
gets his shine. Why not?
Yeah, but also, I mean, think about the local, the local news outlets that's gonna get eyes on that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Of him hosting his own show in his home country. So I think that is indeed a positive. So we'll start off with the match for the undisputed tag team titles. The Judgment Day, Mr. Money in the Bank, Damian Priest, and Finn Balor takes on the New Catch Republic. That's Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Let me just say this. I am so glad that he is back to being the bruiserweight Pete Dunne.
Good God.
Oh my God, that Butch thing was just, mind you, the former boss of WWE did not want him to wrestle. Like initially,
Mm-hmm.
didn't want him to wrestle. He just wanted him to be this like, I don't know. You ever see Scooby Doo? Remember his nephew Scrappy?
Mm-hmm.
Scrappy Doo. Look at him. Look at him. That's kind of what he wanted Butch to be. This really scrappy little guy, because that's how he saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of seeing the fact that this guy can freaking wrestle. You know what I mean? And for us, old school black and gold NXT, that was one hell of a main event. That was one hell of a match they had at, I think it was Takeover Chicago in 2017, I
Mm-hmm.
think. Man, they put on one hell of a match. That was still one of my favorite matches from the history of the old NXT. But I still say the Judgment Day walks out, the winners. However, I think if they were to drop the titles, it'll be because of interference by R-Truth. Your thoughts?
Oh, truth. I loved his segment, by the way. Monday night. It was
When he
perfect.
had the
Um,
freaking poncho.
truth is a national treasure. Protect
My
him at all
God,
costs.
protect that
Did you
man,
know,
please.
protect him? He is the only person he is the longest reigning WWE superstar. He has not been cut and come back. Like at this point, like just protect truth. I mean, he has been cut and come back, but like people come back multiple times, and once he got his first cut, he's been good ever since.
Right,
Um, I don't know. I think that we need to shake it up. You can't have everybody retain. So it
right.
wouldn't surprise me if they dropped.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be an interesting dynamic, but I will say that would be a good way for Damian Priest to focus in on cashing in on somebody.
Hmm.
And man, oh man, if it happens in WrestleMania in Philadelphia, across the river from the world famous Monster Factory where he cut his teeth in this wrestling business, I'm not gonna lie, as a Monster Factory guy, I'm probably gonna cry
I
if
love it.
Damian Priest walks out as the new world heavyweight champion at WrestleMania if he cashes in. We'll see. But it's kind of a toss up with that match. We just don't know. And that's the beauty right now of the landscape of the WWE is the fact that there are so many things we're in the dark in now, which I love. I love surprises. I love not knowing because you're kind of like there's been so many times that we've watched shows and we're like, we can call that. Oh, yep, that's gonna happen. Oh, that's gonna happen. Not now.
Exactly.
So we'll tie the bow on that tag team match. Next, we have the women's elimination chamber match, and the winner will earn an opportunity to face whoever the women's world champion is at WrestleMania 40. The participants are Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Tiffany Stratton, Tiffy Time, Naomi, and Raquel Rodriguez, that we mentioned won that last chance battle royal the other night on Raw.
Becky.
That's what you're thinking?
Becky. I
Explain.
think it's now time for Becky to main event, hopefully. I'm putting in the air. I think it's time for Becky to have I mean, the match that she was in last year, ugh, it just was a match. It wasn't anything
Strip, that
special.
was a six
That
woman tag.
yeah, it
Yeah.
just was it wasn't even good, honestly. Like it was very happen type of match. You know I love saying it's a match that happened, but it's a match that happened for me. Like you know what I mean? Like nothing stood out for me. I think it's Becky's time. I think that Becky has earned it, and I want to see Becky and Rhea main event night one.
I could see that happening. I could see Becky going for it, but the EST,
I think she gets a match, but I don't know how she gets her match. I mean, I think
yeah,
they'd be foolish to leave her out with everything she's got going with this show and just her overall star power. She's a woman, she is a female John Cena. Like I think it'd be foolish
absolutely.
to leave her out. It's just a matter of who she's gonna face and how it's gonna happen. But I think she'll have a Mania match. I'm not worried about her.
Yeah, I could at first I was thinking, I said and one of the things that I was saying is that if not Becky, Bianca, only because we've been wanting to see Bianca and Rhea Ripley in a main event for a women's title because
Hmm.
they were, let's be real, once upon a time in NXT, they were the ones, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I wouldn't be shocked if either one of those walks out of there. But I'm leaning again into your point, I think Becky, because she has that Rocky story happening, and what a place to have that happen at in the city of Philadelphia. So with that, I think we're on the same page in regards to that, which leads us to the Women's World Championship match between Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. I love the fact on number one, she's in incredible shape now.
Hmm.
She's confident, which I
Shout
don't
out to
think.
Charlotte.
Hmm.
Shout out to Charlotte. Charlotte is the one who has been getting her together in the gym
Yeah,
and with
she
her
does.
meal plan and
Yep.
nutrition. Like, shout out to
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Yeah. Because I think Charlotte once upon a time was a personal trainer before she even got into pro wrestling. So
Interesting.
yeah, absolutely. So that's what she was doing before she got signed. So I think Nia is confident.
Hmm.
I didn't see that confidence before. I
This
just
is her
thought that
best run by far.
I think she was more or less happy to be there.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And she was just, I'm happy to be here, happy to be here. Now she has purpose. And you could see it in the confidence of her promos, the condescending, type of, verbiage that she throws out there. You know what I mean? I like it. I still say, because you got two heels basically. Although Rhea's gonna be the baby because obviously she's gonna be in her home country of
Hmm.
Australia, and man, that stadium is going to go absolutely bonkers. I wouldn't be shocked if that closes out the show, but then again, you never know because there is
Hmm.
one more match we do have to talk about. But Rhea will overcome Nia Jax and retain the championship, and I think setting up night one's main event because I think to your point, obviously this match last year's WrestleMania, Charlotte and Rhea Ripley was one of the DLU podcast matches of the year. Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. That
Hmm.
was, I mean, I watched that back and it's just like, man, you can literally just tell they were wrestling with a chip on their shoulder.
Hmm.
That whole entire from
They
the
had a point
entrances.
to prove. Hmm.
Absolutely. From the entrances all the way to the end of the match. And
Hmm.
Charlotte sitting out the ring, smiling, was like more or less say, all right, follow that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that'll do it for that match. And of course, we have the men's elimination chamber match with the participants of the new player of the year, player hater of the year, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, LA Knight, yeah. KO, Kevin Owens, and Logan Paul. Now, there's a dilemma I have.
Okay, tell me about it.
My heart says LA Knight, but I think my brain says Drew McIntyre only because of the fact that I don't think having Seth and another babyface at WrestleMania is really gonna, you know what I mean? I don't really think it's gonna do it. And this is nothing against LA Knight by any stretch. Now, if LA Knight was a heel, then okay, I can see it. But I think right now the way they're positioning Drew,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? I
Yeah, Drew.
think that I truly believe that he's going to be the one that's going to walk out of an elimination chamber, the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, to set up the match against Seth Rollins. Now, once again, I think that'll be a perfect segue if when that match does happen
for Damian Priest to cash in and
Yeah,
make
he's
that
got to cash in here soon.
absolutely. So, like I said, that's the gist of it. It's crazy how the Royal Rumble was only 4 matches. Now Elimination Chamber is only 4 matches. But if you want to count the Grayson Waller effect as a fifth match, be my guess. It's just a segment. But I truly think that they're really they're I think they're just saving all the ammo for WrestleMania. I think they're
Hmm.
trying to just okay, like there's no Roman on this event. But again, The Rock does live in Hawaii,
Hmm.
which I didn't realize he was back in live in Hawaii. So would it shock me any if Rock and Roman shows up during the Grayson Waller effect?
Nope.
Because I remember clear as day, the 1 month before WrestleMania 1, before any matches were announced, there was an event on MTV called War to Settle the Score.
Hmm.
Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan for the WWF Championship, and it ended in utter chaos. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff comes in the ring, and all of a sudden, Mr. T gets in the ring, and you want to talk about pandemonium? Because again, like I said, this event was on MTV, which was huge in 1985. This is when the rock and wrestling era was at its apex because you had Cyndi Lauper that was involved. You had all these other outside, they were starting to let the outsiders in a little bit because back in the day, outsiders weren't really a part of wrestling because of the
Hmm.
hidden secret of what wrestling was. It was a work. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So they were very selective on who was invited in, so to speak. But Water to Settle the Score is kind of reminding me of what's happening now at Elimination Chamber Perth. Because I
Hmm.
believe this is going to be the blasting cap for what's going to happen at WrestleMania. Your thoughts?
Um, I agree. I I really think that finally, like we've said multiple times in the show, we don't know what's going to happen. And you may think you know, but there's always that new twist to things now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things aren't always as they seem. So I would love, like I said, some surprises to come out of this.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't surprise me if The Rock showed up. Obviously, he can fly private, he can fly under the cloak of invisibility. Where
Unless he
you
was
would
flying, unless he was flying with Taylor Swift. We ain't gonna talk about that right
unless
now.
someone's tracking him like that, but
Oh
that's
my God,
they're
that's
weirdos.
insane.
Weird.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't surprise me either way. I think that they have to do something because they advertised Punk for this, and obviously Punk will not be there. So it wouldn't surprise me if they had to pull a rabbit out of their hat to kind of balance the fact that Punk's not going to be there.
I think Punk might actually end up being
I mean, he's been there, but they advertised him as a match, right? And like he's
right,
obviously not there. I mean, he was at SmackDown and at Raw. So like I think he'll be there. He seems to travel. He seems to enjoy this newfound happiness where he gets to, I hate to say coach, but kind of coach the newbies. So I think he'll be there, but he can't be involved how they presented him to be. So I think there needs
right.
to be some balance in that. So I think they're going to give us a surprise or two to kind of be like, I'm sorry, we promised you guys a Punk match. Can't give it to you, but I can give you The Rock. I can give you Roman. I can give you a quick promo or a quick video or something. Like I think there'll be some balance in there with that. So I'm kind of curious to how they'll play this out.
Yeah, and I mean, they're expecting a huge turnout, at Optus Stadium out there. This event was announced. What was it, September? It was announced that
Hmm.
this event was going to happen, and of course, that was the same day that some of those releases happened. And I feel horrible that Emma isn't a part of this event because she is from Australia, and also I wish the Iconics was still with the
Oh my gosh,
WWE
same.
because they would have been huge over there. You know what I mean? But like I said, this is going to be, I feel, the blasting cap for WrestleMania 40. And, I am so amped for WrestleMania season this year for so many reasons. And again, it feels like a new company. It feels like when I was at, I had a Monster Factory event on this past Saturday. Shout out
Hmm.
to my family at the Monster Factory Pro Wrestling. And I was letting one of the young wrestlers know, I said, this build up to WrestleMania 40 reminds me of the build up to WrestleMania 1. I just
Hmm.
feel it. I can still remember being 6 years old and remembering how that buildup was. You wanted to see this on closed circuit television because there was no pay-per-view back then. You know what I mean? There was no streaming. You had to go to a theater or an arena to watch it on the screen back then. So to experience that and then 40 years later experience this, it just feels, you could just feel it. You really, really can. But before we get out of here, as always, let the people know and remind them all where they can find you on social media and what podcast you host, the whole nine yards.
All right, you guys can find me on social media at Hi Gabby, HiiGabii. You can catch me every Monday on the Mid Carters and Catering podcast. And coming soon, you will catch me on my own podcast. I will give more information about that in the near future. But there are some pretty cool things I have lined up, and I look forward to bringing Derrick on and bringing you all with me on this new journey. But you'll still see me here on the Daily podcast. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still
That's
around.
right. And like I said, and like I told you before, you don't have to ask. You just say, "Hey, I need you here," and I'm there. So no
Love
doubt
that.
about it. And like I said, you were an incredible contributor to this show. And like I said, as this show grows, you're coming along with it. And all we're gonna do as content creators is uplift and and be an anchor for each other, be a support system for each other, because that's how we thrive. That's how we
Hmm.
thrive in this business. And you know, someday you just never know where you may find me and Gabby. Heck, you may find us on Sirius XM someday. You never
You never
know,
know.
because we are fans of Busted Open. Oh, and by the way, I was at Busted Open Radio's Dave LaGreca laminated event
Lemonade
last week.
list. Hmm.
Yes, yeah, I was there, and let me tell you, Mark Henry, he truly missed his calling as a stand-up comedian, because man, oh man, I was in stitches. I'm serious.
I love that.
I was in stitches. Kudos to Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, Flavor herself, Tasha Steeles, Dave's brother Don LaGreca that showed up. Also Kyle Lewis, who's a stand-up comedian who opened up the show. But we're big listeners and loyalists of Busted Open. We're part of the Busted Open Nation, and I know they've been really trying to push Busted Open 24/7. I put in my New Year's resolution. I said, "Hey, if they ever do that, I wanna have a show on Sirius XM on Busted Open when they eventually have their own channel." I believe that. I'm manifesting that, and I would love for us to have a spot on that network when that eventually does happen. Because I truly believe, because right now Busted Open is the face of Sirius XM Sports.
Hmm.
They had a billboard in Times Square. They're doing big
Hmm.
business right now. So I would love to, hopefully, if that does happen and they need people to fill time slots or whatever, I love Gabby and yours truly to have a spot on there.
We're
Believe
claiming
that.
that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, guys. But well, as always, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll be talking soon so we can recap next week's episode about what happened at Elimination Chamber.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of the D-Loop podcast. Again, I want to thank Gabby for stopping by to break down Elimination Chamber for this coming weekend. I definitely appreciate all of her contributions and what she continues to do. And again, I hope you all can get up at 5 a.m. if you're on the East Coast, to watch some wrestling. Hey, listen, anytime that New Japan has, events, I get up pretty early, get up at 3 a.m. to watch. So 5 a.m. wouldn't be too bad. So make sure you check that out. Regarding the store, shop.derricklewis.com, I'm still in the process of finding a home. I'm narrowing it down to a few platforms that not only gives me the option to have hoodies and t-shirts, but also some novelty items like mugs and all types of things. So be on the lookout for that, as that is coming sooner than later. The podcast that you're listening to, the D-Loop podcast on Believe Network. Again, I appreciate all of you for your continuous love and support of this podcast. If you haven't done so already, just subscribe, no matter which platform that you're on. All platforms, no matter what, hit that subscribe button and you'll get all new content every single time. Every single Thursday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern. My single and music video, Espacion, again, you can stream it, you can watch it on multiple platforms. As a matter of fact, it's been entered in several film festivals, including there's one in Germany it's been submitted to, and a few others. So within the next month or so, I should know whether or not it's going to be entered in a few more film festivals. So keep your fingers crossed. Well, I'm going to get out of here, and as I always say, no matter what it is you do in life, always remember to make it count. See you next time.